Hey guys, how you doing? JP Sarricolea here, and welcome again to another episode of Age of Heroes, my podcast. Thank you to those who are watching this through YouTube, and also to those who are listening through the different platforms: iTunes, Spreakers, Stitcher, Castbox, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it. And, I don't even remember all of them, but thank you very much. Thank you for your support. Thank you for taking the time. Now, this has been a fantastic week for sure. Of course, we started strong with 4th of July weekend, and it was fun. There was a lot of good things happening there. In the collectibles world, there's a lot of collectibles. I can talk about it all day long. And of course, as many of you know now, I'm busy because of my work, so I don't really get the opportunity to talk about collectibles every day as I was doing it. But, I get the chance and I try to work with it. As soon as I get an opportunity, I work with it and I create content. But I'm telling you, definitely it's a lot of things that I wanted to share today. But one thing I want to kind of piggyback on what I did last week when I talked about collectibles, and I think a lot of people were interested on that. A lot of the viewers, a lot of the listeners were commenting about the things we were talking about the fear of missing out, which was important. And at some point I mentioned that I talk about the importance of choosing a theme for your collection. And I said, hey, I'm going to talk about it in a different day or on another day. I will have this conversation. So I said, you know what? Let's continue with that. Let's just take from that moment and just talk about it, because I do feel that it's important as collectors, and I'm here very generic. And I'm going to be talk about all sort of collectibles, not necessarily statues. I'm going to talk about also for diecast collectors. I'm going to talk about for action figure collectors, even for omnibus collectors, in order to really create something beautiful or something that is going to be pleasing in the end for you, you have to always have an idea in mind of what you're doing. So I want to talk about it today because I think it's very, very important. And I feel that for all collectors, regardless of what is your collection consistent of, or what is it that you're collecting, regardless of all of that, you still have to have a theme. You have to have a subject in mind, a vision of what you're trying to do, and that's going to allow you to create something that you're going to, in the end, and going to enjoy, or also you're going to like. So that's what we're going to talk about it today. So I would say that one thing I want to share before we get into I would say the technical aspects of that. I want to share my experience, for example. As a collector, I've been collecting a lot of things in my life. I've been collecting statues for almost 20 years. But I've been collecting other sort of things also over time. I think I've been a collector since I was a kid. Since I was a kid, I was always infatuated with collecting things. It's something I feel that, and I mentioned this many times before, I feel collectors are a particular breed. As not everyone is a collector. Not everyone is interested in collecting things, but I was. For some reason or another, as a kid, I loved to collect comics, for example. That was my thing as a kid. I collected a lot of comics. I kept them so pristine. I didn't want nobody touching my comics. I was always collecting things, toys. I'm the type of person that I used to make dioramas with my toys, and I didn't want anybody to touch them. My brother was very different. He was not like me in that sense. He liked to play with toys. He liked to break toys. He liked to do all sorts of things with toys. But not me. I didn't want nobody. And I had this always fight with my brother because we couldn't get along with that, because he will touch my stuff. And I hate it because I didn't want anybody to touch my stuff. If I leave something and I put it on display, I want that display to stay there until I change the action of these figures. And I did that with every single toys I have. Ghostbusters, the Transformers, the Masters of the Universe, any other toy, the G.I. Joe, every toy that I had when I was a kid, I create these dioramas because it was fun for me. Not only that, my dad was into creating models, like house models and battles with little soldiers and stuff like that, historical battles. And I used to help him a lot. And I love the miniature scaling. I was always infatuated with miniature scaling. Also with diecast. My grandfather was into diecast as well. So to me, that was a time, that I personally, as a kid, I enjoy all of that. And it was fun for me to collect things. It was just something that I will collect, sometimes even bottles. I would collect anything. It was always something that I was so natural. I feel that people that are collectors, that are collecting anything now, is because they have this. It was something that just show up all of a sudden. It's something that you are born with it, with this idea that you want to collect things depending on the beauty of things, whether it's coins, whether it's, anything. People can collect all sort of things. So to be honest with you, I was always excited about a lot of things, and at the same time, I struggle to trying to maintain or keep up with something, because when you like something and then you like something, I'm like this little squirrel that I'm always my attention. I have this attention span where I move from one thing to the other, and it's always been my case. So I can be collecting something now, and all of a sudden I'm collecting this, and I can start something, and then I can not even finish, and I start something else. So it's something that I always struggle with, and I feel that a lot of people struggle with, because there's a lot of things that we are so passionate about that we feel that we need to finish that, or we need to start something. All of a sudden something else shows up also that is a big part of us, because we're not this, this individual type of people that only care about something. We care about a lot of things, so in many ways we start doing a lot of things, and all of a sudden we are entangled in this kind of like a threesome, I can call it like that, into this relationship. We had so many different loves, but nothing stick. And then we end up with collections that have very uniform, and they have no theme, they have no subject, and we're not fully satisfied with. So we have to be very careful not to fall that. And that was something that I have struggled with, and as a stature collector, as a diecast collector, as an action figure collector over the years. And it's been hard for me at times to really kind of overcome that. It's a battle that I have in my mind, and that trying to say, you know what, you need to slow down in this end, and you need to keep up with this, and you need to finish one thing, and then you can move on to the next thing. And sometimes it's hard because even though you can start as a Marvel collector, if we're talking about statue collectors here at this point, I would say that you can start collecting. I would say Bowen statues, Marvel statues. You want to have this full display of Marvel thing. You let's say you're an X-Men fan. You start with an X-Men collection. All of a sudden, you start also acquiring Avengers figures, and then of course you move into, I don't know, into the Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever. Then you have all these different displays, and then you start looking at the DC stuff, and then you move to the DC stuff and this Star Wars stuff, and then you have all this thing, and you have no team. And I feel that that's something that we struggle with, and we have to be very careful. Now, I'm not telling you this that you have to change your way, and you have to be, because this is the thing, when we get into a hobby, it's because we're trying to escape the tough realities we live in. That's the reason why we enjoy certain things, is because the escape that we have to the tough things that we have to go through, whether it's at work, whether it's in the house, whether it's our personal lives, even health, whatever it is, we use the pastimes to really kill some time, but also to recharge ourselves. And when we get into these situations, of course, it becomes very stressful when we have so much stuff going on and we don't even know how to work with it. It just becomes very stressful. We lose, the peace of mind. Now we have to figure it out, how we're going to do this, how we're going to do that. And it becomes more than a pastime. It becomes like a second job that you're not getting paid for, that is really taking away your energy. It's stealing your energy, your desire to do anything, because you're so entangled into trying to fix the problems in your head on how you're going to solve this, how you're going to display that, how you're going to make this. And I see that all the time in the different Facebook groups and even forums, where I see people posting all kind of challenges, how to display certain things, because their displays are full of different statues of different type of things, different scales, or different teams. Something is Marvel, something is DC, Star Wars, and everything. They don't know how to fix all of that, because now you have all this display. You have all the statues, but you don't have enough display space, and you don't have the proper showroom, or the proper, I would say, the stand for all of it, and you're having a hard time trying to figure it out. So I will say that the best thing to approach things, first and foremost, is that when we are getting into a collectible line, action figures, diecast models, statues, stick to it until you feel that it's enough, and then you can move on to the next thing. That's the first thing you gotta do. And I know that's the hardest thing to do, because there's always a beautiful stuff out there. Let's say, for example, if you love Marvel stuff, stick with the Marvel stuff. Like, for example, I love Marvel. I love this. As you can see, maybe in the background, if you're watching this on YouTube, I have a few statues there. I have some DC on this side, and have some Marvel on this side, as you can see. This is the Wolverine by Kotobukiya. I love that Wolverine. The brown custom is my favorite here. And also this commission, the Sabertooth, that was done also by Eric Sosa. I love that. And I have them together. I think they were created to be together. But on this side, I have, of course, Flash, and I have Batman, DC. So, I love both equally in some ways. Although, over time, I have collected more Marvel stuff than DC stuff. But I can't keep them there together, because it's not everything I have, but this is what I have there right there for display. But I'm telling you, sometimes it's hard because you want to create a scene, you want to create these dioramas. And if you have seen my videos over time, I have all these statues over time that I showcase and different dioramas and different, I have created different scenes. It really kind of give people an idea how to display certain things. And I would say that the most important thing is that you stick with one thing, that whatever you're doing at the beginning, let's say you're starting this as a collector, and you're starting you start buying things, everything that is cool. And I'm telling you, everything looks cool. Everything that you're seeing, everything that I talk about in this channel is super cool. But if you choose one team and you move on with that team for, I would say, the next year or 2 years, and you can make it grow, then when that line is done, then you can move on to the next line and you can continue on. And I think it's better, and it's more organized, and at the end of the day, it's more enjoyable to do such a thing because you're in the hunt down for pieces just to fit into that personal display, in that personal vision you have. It's good to have a vision, and I will tell you that the best thing you can do, for example, one of my favorite things to do when I create displays, first and foremost, I look at different covers. I look at different posters, for example. I use an idea. Like, for example, if I see a poster of the Batman Hush and I see all the characters with Batman, then I want to replicate that particular scene. So you go for that. And I have done that with the Avengers, for example. I wanted to replicate the Avengers. I want to have all the Kotobukiya Avengers, and have replicated that, the X-Men from Kotobukiya as well. So you replicate those things and you continue on. And sometimes it's good to start with a new collection. Like, for example, now with Twitterhead, it started with Superman. You start with Superman, and then you move on with whatever they are producing in this 2.0 line that they're creating now in the Justice League. If you continue with that, it makes it easier for you. First of all, because that gives you an idea of the time of how you're going to spend your money. It gives you a timeline, and then you can little by little start building up. Yeah, some companies don't finish certain lines, but you can always, I would say, substitute one piece for another. That's something that we have done over the years with Bowen and Kotobukiya. Even though Kotobukiya didn't finish a lot of things in the past, you were able always to substitute one piece for, I would say, a Bowen piece. And even some commission pieces like we did with Sabertooth. So you can always, kind of finish certain lines your way, not necessarily the way that was intended at the beginning, but at least you have this opportunity. That's one thing I love about, I would say, the 1/6 scale. There's a lot of options. You have companies like Twitterhead producing 1/6 now. You have company, in this case for DC stuff, but you have DC Collectibles that is no longer here, but you can also get stuff from there. Now, if you want Marvel, so you have Bowen stuff. There's a lot of products, Bowen products in the market. Even when you go to eBay, you can find a lot of it because, of course, Bowen was in the business for a long time and produced so many statues. So there's a lot of statues that you can find in the aftermarket. You can go to the forums, you can go to Facebook, you can go to comic book stores. There's so many ways that you can find them, and you can build these displays that are amazing. You can also, Diamond Select now is getting into the 1/6. They're doing a lot of 1/6 stuff again because they did it years ago, but more on the 1/8, 1/9. But now it's like closer. It's still kind of like a 1/7, and some of them, some are 1/6. But it's another option. You can get all and create this displays. So it's important that you have a team in your head. It's important that whatever you're doing, you concentrate on that particular thing. And I would say the best thing, because sometimes people ask me, how can I choose something where I like so many things? Like, for example, I have that problem. I like so many things. If you follow my channel closely, you'd realize that I do love a lot of franchises and I'm well-versed in a lot of things. So that's always been a challenge for me because I love so many things. How can I build something? I would say that the best thing is that you have to make a list. Make a list of all the franchises that you love. Like, for example, there's this list of what will you put first and what will be last. You can make a list of 10 franchises, for example. What is at the top of the list? I will tell you, in my top of the list will be Marvel, followed by DC, followed by Star Wars, and then followed by everything else. Like I can just kind of center, all the different things that I like, all the franchises. So I will tell you, make a list. And what is it that you are more fond of? If you're a bigger fan of DC, then that should be the concentration for you. And that will be they give you an idea in this case, what would be the franchise that you need to go for first. That will be the first thing. And the second thing, because these franchises are, have multiple different, it's not only one singular universe. There's a lot of things within the same universe, a lot of different lines that you can create. For example, if you're a Marvel fan, let's say you choose Marvel like I do. Then what is the biggest franchises for you within the Marvel? For me, the biggest I would say the biggest thing for me in Marvel would be, I would say, Spider-Man, followed by the X-Men. Although in these days, I would say that X-Men has taken the first place, kind of like a toss between them. But I still feel that Spider-Man was my biggest thing always since I was a kid, followed by the X-Men. Then I would say the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four, I'm a big fan, and definitely we deserve, and we need more collectibles for the Fantastic Four, followed by the Avengers, and then you go on with everything else that comes, there. If you're on DC, what is the biggest thing? I would say that for me, it's always the Justice League, but some people might prefer the Teen Titans, and start with the Teen Titans. But there's a lot of things, even Batman. Some people love Batman, use Batman stories, Batman rogues, and all of that. And then, of course, the Justice League. So you choose, what is it? I know collectors that they only collect Superman because it's always been the character they love. So concentrate on the character you love or the team you love, and then build on that one. And then when you have the opportunity, if you get a little bit tired of the same thing, I think you already run out of ideas with that, then move on to the next line. Now, like I said in my previous podcast about the fear of missing out, don't fear that just because you're not buying this or that, you're going to miss out. Never feel like that way. Because companies will continue producing, this type of items, sometimes different versions. Now we have the Twitter 2.0. They will have the Twitter 3.0 at some point. So don't worry about it. This is the second batch. So we'll be okay. You might not just jump on the second batch, but you might be able to jump on the third or fourth batch. It's always going to be something. Bowen did it for years. There were so many variations of Captain America, some better than others. And when you compare, some people still like the classic thing, but some of the more modern Captain Americas that were created by Bowen were really good, in my opinion, better than the original. So at the end of the day, it's just something that you have to trade something in order to gain another thing. It is important that you concentrate on the things that really matter. Again, like another example for Star Wars, it just came to mind. You may love the original trilogy, so concentrate on the original trilogy. You may love in this case, the prequels, then concentrate on the prequels. You may love the newest thing, the ones that the older guys don't want, then concentrate on that. Or you prefer the Mandalorian, so start with the Mandalorian or the Clone Wars, whatever. You choose that option, and you choose what is more important to you within all the different lines in a franchise, and I think you're going to have a good time. It's important to have a plan. And I will tell you this, I feel that sometimes people approach collectibles without a plan. I think we all do. I did the same thing. When I started collecting statues, it was just because I like it. When I started collecting die-cast models, it's because, I like this card. I want to add it. But you have to be very picky about what you're doing certain things. For example, if you are a die-cast collector, you love models. What is it that you love about the models? What type of vehicles you like? Because I do have an extensive collection of diecast, and I really haven't really shown over the years, only a few diecast models, but I have never really shown my collection. I do have an extensive collection, and I have a collection of cars from all different eras, also cars from movies and stuff like that. So what is it that you like about diecast? Do you like, I would say, the 1950s vehicles? You like the muscle cars? Do you like the modern vehicles, like the Formula One, for example? Do you like movie-based vehicles? So you concentrate on that, and then you build on it. So when you organize all those things, when you have enough of that, and then you can move on to the next thing, you have a plan. And it's easier, it's fun, and it's better organized. And ultimately, it gives you the peace of mind and also allows you to be happier with what you're doing. The reason why a lot of people lose sight of what they're doing is because their mind is all over the place. And I feel that I've been there. And I'm not saying this because I'm judging people for their actions, because I've been there. My problem has always been that my mind has always been all over the place. I would say that that's the biggest flaw that I had as a person, I would say as a collector as well. And that has really affected my way to enjoy what I do, but at the same time, how my collection has grown over time. Because, my mind has been everywhere, trying to build this, trying to build that. I get tired with one thing, I get rid of it, then I move on to the next thing, and I try it, and then I try something else catches my attention, then I move on into that. Then all of that, it really creates a lot of chaos. And, you don't enjoy it. Ultimately, you don't enjoy it, and it becomes more of really a pain in the butt to deal with every single day. And it's important that you have an idea in your mind. It's important that whatever we choose to do, we concentrate on that. If we are collecting a particular scale, keep up with that scale. Don't try to dissuade going to this or to that, because I've seen that a lot. People like this statue because they like this sculpt, they buy it, but then they see that it doesn't fit on their collection because this statue is a 1/6, but their collection is mainly 1/4 or 1/3. So it's just out of place. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. You're going to have more headaches doing that. Concentrate on the particular scale that you're fond of and that you've been collecting for a while. Now, if you want to change the collection, if you feel that the collection is too big and you want to go small, then of course, then you can start doing that. And maybe get rid of what you have, sell it and start getting into the smaller stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Ultimately, it's your collection and it's your money. You can do whatever you want to do. However, don't jump from one place to the other, because the more you jump, the harder it becomes for you as a collector to keep up with it. It becomes a hassle, it becomes a headache, it becomes tiresome, and at the same time, it gives you more work to do. You end up doing more work because now you got to think, how am I going to display this? How am I going to rearrange my collection room? Of course, you're always going to be movement. You're always going to be changing things around. You always have to rearrange your collection. But the lesser issues that you encounter, the lesser headaches you give to yourself, the easier it becomes. Because your problem is not going to be, hey, how can I fit this 1/5 piece with a 1/3 piece? It's going to be, now, how can I fit this 1/5 piece with this another 1/5 piece so they can look good together? So that's the thing, because it's going to be almost impossible to try to display something extremely large with something very small. Something's going to get lost. At least the smaller pieces are going to suffer the most, of course, because they look small. But at the same time, the larger pieces, they're going to look they don't look appropriate when they're right next to smaller pieces. So it's important to always have this balance. Of course, you can change things. I've seen displays where people display everything on different scales and it looks good, but it's because it's just a particular team. That works. That really works. I'm okay with, I've seen like Superman collectors that they have this 1/3 scale Superman, and they have 1/4 scale Superman, and the 1/6 and the little bus or the big bus all together to create just a particular Superman display. I'm okay with that. However, I'm not okay when I see I would say a Megatron right next to a Captain America, right next to something else that is completely off, and they're all off, and they're all different scales, and they're different teams, and everything looks awkward. And it happens a lot. Of course, sometimes we have to find ways to change things around to make it work, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes we got to do it. Like same as you can see in the back, I have a DC right next to Marvel. That works, but they're kind of separate from each other. But sometimes I see some collections where everything's on top of each other. I see everything towering something that is not even on the same team, and everything looks so out of place, and at the same time it looks tacky. Now, coming to the end of the podcast, I will tell you this. It's important to have a team, and for that you have to have a vision. And to have a vision, it means that you have to sit down, and which is something that we hardly do sometimes, make a plan. Just make a diagram. Some people use even a spreadsheet as what they want to do. Something that I recommend. I do that a lot too. I make spreadsheets. You can even not necessarily have to do like a spreadsheet on your computer. You can also do a spreadsheet on your phone or whatever. And you make a list. Make a list of what you like the most. First, decide what is the collection, or what is it in this case, the franchise that you're a big fan of. The one that is really the one that really makes you happy the most. And go for that one. Then when you decide that, decide what is it within that same franchise, what is it the collection that you care the most. If you're into Transformers stuff, for example, decide, you choose Transformers, an example. What is it that you like the Transformers the most? You like the Generation 1 Transformers? You like the Armada Transformers? Do you like the Bayformers? Whatever you decide, whatever you like, then you go for that one and you build on that. And I'm telling you, and then of course, concentrate on the same scale, because that will give you, I would say, more bang for your buck. You will feel that everything is going to fit better, and keep up with that. I think it's important that once you start something, that you have an idea in your mind, that you create this idea, this vision, how you want the final product. I think that's the biggest thing. Many collectors get into collectibles without an idea in mind. They don't have an idea of the final product. If you don't have an idea of the final product, at least in your mind, it may not be the thing that at the end, you end up with. But ultimately, you have this idea. You can work towards that goal. If you don't have this goal, you're just buying because for the sake of buying, because you have nothing better to do. You are adding more stress to your life, and you are really you're setting yourself for disaster. You're going to fail as a collector. So it's important that whatever you do, you have an idea, you have a plan, you create a vision where there is a photograph from another collector, because that can work too, or an idea that you create, or you can draw it on a piece of paper, and you can do whatever, and you can design it in the computer, whatever you want to do. Work with that idea. And I'm telling you, you're going to have a lot of fun with it. And it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars to refurbish a room. You can work with what you have little by little, building on that. And I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy, you're going to savor the moment. You're going to enjoy the ride and the opportunity to get what you actually have already in your mind, what you're already building in your mind. Because before you can build it physically, you have to build it in your mind. That's just the way it is. If it's not built in your mind, then it's not going to take form or shape in the physical world, in the physical realm. It's not going to. This is like faith. Faith is about, people talk about faith, and as many of you know, I'm a Christian. I know faith is about seeing and believing in something that you cannot touch yet. It is the same that happens when you start a collection. You have faith that is going to work out, but for that, you have to have this vision in your mind. Not just for the sake of buying stuff. It's just for you have this vision. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want. And you work towards that goal. And yes, it's going to be changes. And yes, it's not always going to end up the same way you envision it. Sometimes it can end up even better than the vision. But if you have to be patient with it and you have to work with it, but you have to have a plan. It's all about having a plan. So my friends, I'm telling you, if you're a collector of whatever you're collecting, action figures, whether it is statues, die-cast models, anything, have a vision in your mind. Work with it, and you'll see the results. You'll see that things are working for the best, and you're enjoying the opportunity. You're enjoying the ride that you're in, and it's going to be the funnest thing you ever do. I'm telling you that. My friends, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this on YouTube. Don't forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, to like, to comment, and to subscribe. You're listening through the different platforms. You can come to Twitter, to Facebook, also YouTube. Let me know what do you think about today's conversation. Also Instagram. And please also consider supporting the channel financially through Patreon. My friends, God bless you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.